Welcome back to another episode of Zarpado, a passion podcast.
Coming to you live from Santiago de Chile on a virtual interview with my good buddy from college, Tate. Tate, say hello, my friend.
What is going on? Thanks for having me, dude.
Oh, of course. Of course. Well, me and Tate just had a lightning about 15-20 minute catch up where I felt like we were going to waste all our time just catching up with each other because we haven't seen each other in a while, actually. I can't remember the last time.
College year. It's been a few years.
It has, honestly, yeah. But we talked a lot throughout your travels, where you were where I'm at.
Yeah,
And
we flipped spots.
yeah, absolutely. So I want to start this off, Tate, by giving you an opportunity to introduce yourself, where you're from, how old you are, what you're doing, and then after that, and at the very end of that, let's just jump right into it. Have you introduce some things that you're passionate about, and then we'll get going from there.
Cool. So yeah, my name's Tate Stone. I grew up in Santa Cruz, kind of lived in California throughout my life, and met Hagen in college at Cal State San Marcos. And things we've kind of connected on were traveling. That was a big thing. I took a year after college to go travel all around Latin America. So like I said earlier, when we've traded places, Hagen's now where I'm at.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I came back for doing that and kind of jumped right into a career. And tried to find something what I was passionate about, and I guess I'll dive deep into that. But I'm working in music. I am working at a big talent agency, WME, in LA, and working in the music department as an assistant to an agent, where we do all sort of public bookings for music artists across the globe. So any concert that you go to, it's likely that we book it.
I've heard of WME. Like as soon as you dropped that, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like WME, that's dope.
It's a big talent agency, but yeah. So that's kind of working a lot and getting to know a new city and meeting a ton of new cool people and just kind of networking and get my wits about me. But yeah, and I guess that kind of brings me to that your tail end question about following passions.
Mm-hmm.
I think music is a big passion of mine. It's just food for the soul.
Great way to describe it.
Yeah, it in your darkest moments, it helps you out. In your highest moments, it's puts you even higher, I guess. And I think I love discovering new music, like experiencing live music, going to shows with friends, and it just brings people together. So yeah, kind of just every corner of music. I love it, and it's been a passion. I'm glad I've had the opportunity to start a career in it, because like I was saying when we were catching up, I wake up and I'm excited to get to work early, and I don't mind staying late. And I think if you like what you do, like they say, you'll never work a day in your life. So corny saying, but
corny but true, man. And that's the beauty of it. And what was really cool is because I interviewed Jules, and he talked about kind of the same thing, and you guys are in a very similar spot. And it's funny, even that I remember, and I'm sure people have told you this, I remember the event you guys threw.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to that, and I mean, it was in this church in Carlsbad, right? It was in right by where CJ lives. And and oh crud. Okay, we will switch that up in about 10 minutes. We're gonna switch to the other recording. But I just remember being in there and being like, yo, this feels like something legit. So as far as the things that you do on a daily basis there at WME, like what's that like? Are you being mentored by you said your assistant?
So I'm an assistant to an agent. Right. So day to day, like we're collecting so we basically get demands or or requests from our clients, which are the musicians. So let's just say, for example, I know you're a Blink-182 fan.
Yeah, you do. You do, baby.
So let's say Blink-182 wants to go on tour, and they'll come to us and say, hey, we want to go on tour. Can you help us with that? And we'll say, yeah. So we go out and reach out to club promoters and festival promoters from all across, or in the demographic areas they want to play. And we reach out and sort and kind of hash those negotiations and contracts out. And long story short, we do all the contract negotiation and get that settled and kind of direct them where they need to go. And then they show up and play a kick-ass show. So there's a ton of parts to that, but yeah, it's a lot of negotiation, and it is a sales job, really, because if you think about it, the artist is your product that you're selling.
Yeah.
And so we're pitching them to festivals and to clubs and to arenas or whatever, and trying to sell our product. And people for the right acts, people want to pay money and they'll purchase it. So, yeah.
So since you started working there, you said about 6 months, right?
Yeah, it's been like 6 months.
What's been one of the biggest takeaways that you've learned from being not only being in that industry, but being passionate about that industry? What is something, because I feel like when you're passionate about something, you learn with different eyes and ears. And so what would you say is one of your biggest takeaways from being passionate about that industry and being in it?
I love that. I think passion takes you further than any skill or like concrete. I don't know. You can study a textbook for hours and hours, but if you're not passionate about it, I don't think you're going to make it in any industry. I think that's been my biggest takeaway is the people that are really making it are the ones that love this and like love being, because it's like really the honest truth is you're never really off the clock, because you go to work and then all of a sudden the show plays and you've got to go to the shows, but you're not like, you're working still. You're talking to people, you're meeting people, you're involved in the industry. So what used to be my social life is now kind of like my work life. Which is super fun because you get to be involved in really cool stuff. But yeah, I think you need to be passionate about what you're doing, because it's a big part of your life. So I think that's probably my biggest takeaway. And also just there's a lot of little takeaways from being in entertainment. There's a lot of interesting people you work with. So I think it's learning how to navigate this world has been something that I'm honestly just learning, just kind of breaking the ice on and learning how to do. But it's exciting. So, and it's fun. Yeah.
That's great, man. I mean, that's to be able to say like you're living your passion.
Yeah.
That, I mean, like you said, there could be no better thing to literally be doing than being able to say that you're living your passion. And no, you go for it.
No, I think it's cool too, just college and like how you brought up Jules and that. I think we've sparked each other's kind of creativity and passions for this, like being able to piggyback off each other. And we're best friends and we live close to each other and we see each other all the time and always kind of like piggybacking ideas or just things off each other. And it's cool to have someone that close to you to like is that passionate as well. And yeah, it's I'm fortunate, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, and that's great, man. I don't know if you listened to the interview that we did with Jules, but he spoke about it the same way that you did, or that you are, which is.
I honestly, I don't know if this is the right move or not, but I held off and I was thinking about it a lot today before, and I knew we were gonna do this, and I was like, should I just listen to it? And I was like, just wait, because I kind of want our interview to go one way, because he had mentioned to me, brought me up, and I was like, I kind of wanted just to have my own thoughts, but I'll probably listen to it tomorrow too.
Hell yeah, dude! I love that, man. That's being the master of your thoughts, and the way that we go with this is great. So okay, perfect. Yeah, I know music's always been a huge passion to you, and with the time that we got here, because as soon as it gets cut, we'll switch over. But what else are you passionate about?
There's a lot of things. I
Good
love the
place to share
outdoors.
'em.
Yeah, I love the outdoors. I love
Mm.
to surf, to snowboard, to hike. I love, I don't know, the beach to me is just soothing, like being in water. So anything that kind of comes with that, I've always just had a passion for. Um, I love to cook. I love food. Um,
Yeah,
I think food just brings people together, and I love people, and so like being able to kind of cook for people, I think is a big way of how I can show love to others and like just bring
yeah.
people together. And yeah, I think that's just it's fun. Um,
You know what I just thought about? You said music is food for the soul, and I just thought that food could be music for the stomach or something
there
like
you go.
that.
The quote guru.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, there was a. I'm not gonna. There was something like. I might have it in my notes. I could pull it up later.
yeah,
But there was a good quote about art and music and food and eating and soul or something like that. But,
yeah,
but yeah, those I think those kind of in a broad umbrella are my passions.
mm,
I think my passions I think go in phases. Like
yeah,
I mean, one example I during the summer and my snowboard passion isn't at its peak.
exactly. Yeah,
And like lately, I think music has definitely taken a front seat, and that's really shined, which has been totally fine.
yeah,
Some and others have taken back seats, but yeah, I think things come and go as need be, and like we'll surface themselves if at the right time.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well, one of the things that I like to be able to mention to people is that not only is there no limit to the passions that you can have or even should have, because we're always changing, and that means your passions are going to change too. And I like what you said is like you didn't say that it's like music is a higher passion. You just said it's kind of been moved up into the spotlight right now, while others have been moved in the backseat, which doesn't diminish it because it's like at different times of your life, those passions will come forward, and it's like if you got it, man, it's always going to be there. And so
yeah.
that's
It's
beautiful.
funny because I was just chatting with someone the other day about traveling, and I was like, "Yeah, I just went on this year long surf trip, and I kind of call it a surf trip because I surfed so much, and like I was loving it, and I was getting so good at like so much better and just progressing, and then I came back and just didn't surf, and I was like,
Yeah,
what the hell? Like I thought I was gonna come back and just like keep getting even better and better, but
yeah,
yeah, I think life is doing life and like
yeah.
surfing at some point in time will kind of surface itself again, but for the time being there's other priorities, I guess.
Yeah, no, hey, it does. You're always gonna have that experience. Right on. So I really liked the way that you described a year-long surf trip. And before we start this, man, I wanna tell you something that really left an impact on me that really didn't even have anything. It was something that Max said. Okay. And I remember this is why you're out there. And because you graduated the I mean, a semester before me in that June, and then I walked in that June following. I think
Mhm.
around the time when you were coming back, maybe, or something like that. But um, I remember I was probably at board or something. I was with Max, and he said that when he met you freshman year of the dorms, that you said after college this is exactly where you were gonna be, and you were literally there, and he just said like how much he admired that you not only like had this plan and stuck with it, but you put it out there and you made it happen and you did it.
Mhm.
And so now we come to the part that I've been really excited to hear about, this
Mhm.
surf trip, man. So let's to not be too open-ended. I wanted to ask where, what kind of started in you to want to make this grand leap with your life?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll start there and see where it takes us, okay?
That's first off, I don't even remember saying that. I knew it was like always an idea I had, and it's funny because I like put this thing together. Like as time got closer, I was like, I'm gonna travel, and then all of a sudden I had my flights booked and like I had my bag packed, and then like I remember I got off the plane in Colombia, and it was 6 a.m. and I looked, and it's like, you know how international airport taxi lines go, and everyone's screaming. I looked around, I was like, what am I doing here? Like I had this moment of panic, and I was like, who let me do this? Like, why am I? And obviously, as time went on, I gained kind of my wits about me and stuff. But how this came to fruition, I'm very fortunate to have grown up in a family where taking leaps of faith and traveling was the norm. When I was 9, my family and we moved to Panama, and that really started it all. I went to school, elementary school in Spanish, and that's how I learned a new language and kind of just got to learn a new culture and surf and like live outside of the US. And so that, I think, standalone was the foundation that kind of led me to want to go on this trip.
Yeah.
But also, like I said, I've been really fortunate because both my parents after college traveled. My dad did a year-long trip, and my mom, she kind of took a slower college route. She graduated, but she like went after high school and then went in between college and then after, and so they were both like go. And I don't think there was ever a moment of like, should I do this or should I not do this? It was kind of just like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I had always wanted to go to Latin America or South America to be specific.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'll go there. And there wasn't like a ton of thought into it. There wasn't like years of planning this out because it kind of came quick all of a sudden. Like it was college and then it was travel. And it was like, so I knew I wanted to go to 6 countries, which were Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina, and Brazil. And I was going to spend a year, 2 months in each country. And then kind of as time went on, I was like, I'm going really slow. Like I'm going to speed this up a little bit. And I kind of working at an organic pace. It wasn't like I need to get the time. And I ended up like by the time I got to like Chile, I would say like around the new year, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Because I'm going to spend a year doing this. And so I was like, let's go to Central America. So
about how far in was that when you kind of realized, like you said, New Year time, about how far in was that?
That was like, so I left July 7th of 2021.
Okay.
And so less than 6, I would say maybe 5 months. Mm-hmm. The conversation probably started after 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I remember like by the new year, I for sure knew. I think I like might have had flights booked and everything.
Yeah.
So I flew from Brazil to Panama and then bust my way all the way up from Panama all the way to Mexico City and did all of Central America. There was a couple countries I skipped, but yeah, I'm a planner, so I definitely struggled like kind of being out on a limb and not necessarily know where I'm going. But at the same time, like you can't really plan things that far ahead when you're traveling because every time you do, you just waste your time because you meet someone cool like the next day after you book your flight and you're like, shit.
When am I leaving? Yeah.
You've done that. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, so I knew kind of back to your question, I knew I wanted to take a surf trip. Mm-hmm. I traveled the entire year with 2 surfboards on me, which was
get the fuck out of here.
I brought 2 and I brought them both home, which was impressive to a lot of people because they thought I was just gonna get them destroyed, which they were beat, but
but they made it and they made it with you.
Yeah, and I had my mom came to visit me with my uncle in Peru.
Yeah.
Then my dad came to visit me in Panama, where we used to live. We got to go see our old stomping grounds, but that worked out because I could like my mom had brought me a wetsuit, and then I gave it back to my dad. And so like I was able to juggle some stuff.
Yeah.
So I wasn't, and it was also kind of nice because the surfboard bag, while it was a bunch of extra weight, I had a bunch of extra space. So I was like already carrying it around so I could stash like, that was my dirty clothes hamper.
Yeah.
Like,
That's great,
and
dude.
honestly, there was a night I slept in it. I took my surfboards out of my bag in the bus stop and slept in my surfboard bag one night.
Really?
Well, like, I mean, yeah, because the bus got canceled and it was like 2 a.m. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna sit here till 7 a.m. Might as well get some. It's freezing cold.
Yeah. Holy shit! Way to be resourceful, man. Like,
So
note to everyone listening, you know, like travel with the surfboard, and you know you'll be taken care of.
I don't know if I'll ever take a year-long trip again, but if I do, I don't know if it'll be with a surfboard because it was a lot of work. Like, a lot of people just look at you like you're crazy. Like, you're in a non-surf town. They're like, "What are you doing, kid?" Like,
yeah,
crazy gringo.
looking for waves, man.
Yeah. But
hey, ¿dónde están las olas, perro?
If I didn't have a surfboard, I would have missed out on so many opportunities to find waves and to surf because there were so many remote spots that like you just sleep in a hammock or like you're just out in the middle of nowhere and you're just kind of exploring. And so like that definitely opened up a ton of doors to follow my passions.
Well, let's talk about that. So as far as literally traveling around South America, Central America with your surfboards, like what are some Zarpado momentos that you had with surfing in South and Central America?
There was a ton.
Yeah, I bet.
There was one day in the Galapagos. I went and spent a week out there, and like it was pretty quiet when I was there, so I was pretty isolated. And I remember surfing all these surf spots by myself. And there was one time when the waves were so good, and there was this seal or this like little sea lion that was like playing with me for 2 hours straight, and it kind of freaked me out in the beginning because he kept kind of like, but I was like splashing water at him or her, I don't know, and catching waves till the sun went down, with like just swimming, and like you could see the reef, and it was crystal clear, and there's like this sea lion playing with you, and I think that I was just like, it was a light bulb moment where I was like definitely struggling to appreciate where I was at, and it was like, dude, like look where you are. This is amazing, and something I'll never forget. There's not a lot of people in most countries surfing in South America. So I think anytime the waves were really good, I would consider it a Zarpado moment because it's just one of those things that you just never want to get out of the water, and you never forget, and you're smiling and screaming, and I'll tell you, you're
enjoying it by yourself, you know, because not all the time, but like you're in that moment and it's your moment.
Yeah, and California surfing is frustrating to say the least sometimes with the crowds. Yeah. So it was very refreshing. Another good one is in Peru, there's a wave called Chicama, which is the like longest left-hand point break in the world. Yeah. And that was quite euphoric. Like literally surfing a wave for like a mile and a half or some. It's like, no, it's not a mile. It's like, I think it's 0.75 a mile. Yeah. To the point where your legs just they're like you're toast. But you're
just cruising.
I remember catching a wave, and the current's so bad that they have these boats that'll pick you up and like just do laps with you. And I remember just getting off a wave and just falling backwards and just screaming with my hands up, like out of joy. And the guy just looked at me. The guy just looked at me and laughed, and he was like, I'm sure I'm not the first person, and it won't be the last, but just like pure joy, because it was. I mean, usually you get to ride a wave for 30 seconds. I would say is maybe average. This was like 2-3 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. Like, if you had to put a time, because I know, especially when you're in a moment like that, like it feels like an eternity, but But if you could put a time on that, like what would you say, about like 2-3 minutes on that wave?
Yeah, maybe 2 minutes. Like to your point, it does feel like an eternity, especially when it's way longer. Like, when is this gonna end? But it's just never ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say maybe around 2 minutes. And I didn't even get it. Like, the waves weren't even that great.
Mhm.
But when it's like that place is really, really good, I would say it's like 3 to 4 minutes. Like, it literally goes from like it's wild.
That's amazing. I'm gonna have to, after this, you're gonna have to send me like the name of it so I can look it up
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
see that. And
It's a
hopefully
world.
everyone listening too can look it up
Yeah.
and be like, what the
If
fuck,
you look
Tate
up
was here.
Chicama, it's spelled Chicama, Peru.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you after, but just for the people
Yeah.
listening, there's beautiful photos of just like wraps all up and down the coast, and looks out of a movie.
Was there a lot of surfers there when you went?
No, there was maybe the town has become is a surf town because of the wave. It's
Yeah.
world renowned, but I would say there's maybe 20 guys in the water at the time. It's such a long wave though that like
Yeah, everyone, you got more than enough room.
and everybody's just like jumping with joy, so nobody's in a bad mood at all. Like,
That's amazing,
so
man.
I would say that was probably, now that I come to think of it, probably one of the best, if not the best, surf moment of my life.
Dude, I can imagine. I can imagine. I can see you there, like just after, like you said, throwing your hands up, just jumping for joy, man. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to be able to not only experience that joy like so intensely, but also have like such a passion for it, you know?
Yeah.
And to just know, like, holy shit, like this is what I'm literally doing. Like this is how we really live. Like
Yeah, right. Yeah, like straight up. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you get it all the time too. Like, being able to just travel, if you really take a step back and like just realize how fortunate you are to be able to like be experiencing the things you're experiencing, and
yeah,
like living in the places you're living. Not a lot of people get to do that. And like, I mean, I think everyone has the opportunity, but like to have to actually bring it to the table and like to fruition and
yeah.
do it and take that leap of faith, I think it pays dividends, because then you get to look back and be like, wow, wherever you are in that moment, you're like, this is amazing and incredible. So
Yeah, man. I love that. That is so cool. So, I wanted to, I mean, that's so amazing that you got to travel the world, live your passion, surf. Like, I want to hear about what's your take on, let's start with the people. Let's start with the people that you came in contact with in this grand journey. Because the difference in between the way we're traveling is I got to Argentina and I stayed for 9 months, and I have my stories about the people I met, but like, what was it like constantly moving from place to place, and what were the people like and the relationships that you made?
yeah, I think moving from place to place was fitting for me in
Yeah,
this, because I just always, I mean, and for better or for worse, I'm always kind of looking for what's next. And I think
yeah,
obviously in some occasions that's not the best outlook on things or take to have on things, but
yeah,
I was able to meet so many different people, and I think my take on the people of those countries is nothing but good. I
yeah,
think Latin people from Latin America and just Latin cultures are so friendly
mm,
and willing to do. I mean, if you're nice to them and you show respect to them, they will show twice as much respect to you, kind of
yeah.
thing. I mean,
What a
they will
great way to
take
put it.
they'll give you a bed, they'll give you a meal, they'll give you a ride, they'll give you anything you need. And like it's funny because in the most dangerous places,
Yeah,
I always found it was the nicest people.
yeah.
Like, people in El Salvador, they were like, don't go to El Salvador. They just had like the deadliest shooting in El Salvadorian history. And 2 weeks later, I pull up there and people are just like stopping their car. I'm walking on the side of the road, like going to the market or whatever. They're like, hey, hop in. You want to ride? I'm like, sure. like without even asking. And
Yeah.
I was blown away because I mean, people were just kind of filling your head with nonsense. But yeah,
Yeah.
people in Latin America are just showed me nothing but love and like, and it just puts such a good like leaves you with such a good taste in your mouth. I think like you just are
Yeah.
like, wow, amazing. And in terms of the people I met, also a ton of amazing people from
Mm.
all walks of the earth,
Yeah.
and I think that was really cool. Where I was at in that point in my life is just to like kind of learn to be open to new perspectives and creative ideas and all just everybody, you know. And I think, and I kind of briefly mentioned this earlier when we were talking, it was like you had said that you met a really cool rock climber that ended up being world famous and you love rock climbing. And I really do think like everyone you meet happens for a reason, is
Yeah.
for a reason. It just like that idea just like is magnified during
Yeah.
travels for some reason. I think like because I I would literally like miss a bus and be like, oh, like what, like that sucks. And then like 20 minutes later, like meet the coolest guy waiting at the bus
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or something like, I mean that I don't think that ever happened, but you get the gist.
Of
And
course, 100%.
just like I was so grateful to meet the people I met traveling because and it's cool now because we get to stay in contact with them. Like
Yeah.
uh, I am yet to bump into someone that I met traveling. I mean, I tried one time and it didn't work out, but I'm sure I will in my lifetime. And just to have friends from all around the world is
Yeah.
super cool. So
It's, and to one of the points that you made about the people down here, that is the main reason that I, have stayed,
yeah,
and like I booked a trip for 2 months. That 2 months changed to 4 months, which changed to, 6 months, which then ended up being 9 months. And I met, the girl that I am dating, and I was like, shit, man, like let's just keep rolling because the people are, like you said, just the most friendly and the most welcoming.
hmm
And that's something that I've learned, like no matter where I go in life, I want to adopt that character, you know? And so I guess that leads me to what I wanted to ask you is like, of the culture that you were around and the people that you met, if you could sum up one thing about the way that people treat each other down here, with you got some guy walking in Nicaragua with the two surf, some shit like that, and yet they
yeah.
treated you in a way that was different than you probably could have ever imagined. And so what is a way that you saw them treat you and something you learned about that?
Something that really stands out to me is just you get obviously a white guy in the mountains with two surfboards gets a funny look, but people are welcoming and they're helpful and they're not shy. I think everyone in a sense is a community in a family, and I think like something that really stood out to me is every time you're walking on down the street, like crossing past with someone, they say hello
Yeah.
as if like you're one of them and just greet you. And I think like it made me feel welcomed and safe and like I'm in the right place. And I think that's definitely something that I don't know if this was actually kind of part of your question, but something that I would love and I try to implement in my life here because
Yeah.
we're individualistic and like I
Yeah.
want people to be kind of just to cultivate more of a community and like
Yeah.
and a culture where people want to say hello to one another because they are community oriented and like I think that's yeah. I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't know if I completely answered your
No,
question, but
I think I could, if, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that, one thing that you learned was that just in the simple thing of acknowledging the people in front of you and asking how they are really
yeah,
creates that sense of community that you've noticed from your travels and living in different parts of the world that is lacking, or non-existent?
Yeah, I think that's the hammer on the nail on that one.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think all I can do, and I talk about it with friends and stuff, but is just continue to like, because just to say hi to people when you cross paths with them, or to say thank you, or to say please, or to hold the door open for people, small things like that. When someone does it for me, I'm like, wow, that was really nice. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that, and maybe it only lasts 10 seconds, but I mean, to cultivate a culture where that's normal,
Yeah.
like it is in America, I think it just will speak dividends, and kind of, I don't know. It may not cure cancer, but
Yeah.
I think
It'll sure as hell make a difference.
put a smile on someone's face and make them feel good about themselves, and I think yeah, that's something I learned.
Well, and that's amazing. And I like that was one of your main takeaways, because that's something that since I got down here, and since I've been, actually, to be more specific, since I've been speaking Spanish, um, every single person that you meet, ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo andas? Like, how are you? And if you think about the way that we greet people from where we're from, it's like, oh, hey, what's up? Or like, how, but it's not asking, how are you? You know?
Really,
And that makes the world of a difference, man, because sometimes people just need to be asked how they are. And
and genuinely, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah, I think I think you're totally right. It's funny you say that, because like everyone just here is just so moving so quickly, where it's like they almost feel like obligated to say what's up or hello or how you are. They don't really care. But I
yeah,
do think in America, like, people care. Like,
yeah,
and people will spend the minute or 5 minutes or all night long
yeah,
from asking that question, and then all of a sudden it sends it, and they're like, screw it, I had plans, but this is a
yeah,
conversation I'm involved in, and like, and that's just a culture that's just like, it's mind blowing to me, because
yeah.
we weren't raised in it, but it's so cool to be a part of it. So
Yeah, actually, and to tell a quick thing, I know this is about you, but to that point, I was passing through in Buenos Aires. I was meeting a friend at this pizza place, and you know how Latin American time is, like, they say they're gonna be there, and then you got at least an hour, sometimes two, before they're gonna be there. And of course, I'm still on the gringo time, where I say 8 o'clock, I'm showing up at around 8 o'clock. And I get to this pizza place, and out in the front of this pizza place in Buenos Aires is all these people with tech decks, and like ramps on tables, like just fingerboarding. And then there's this one old guy, and his name is Nestor. I follow him on Instagram, and he's a viral like guy on Instagram for fingerboarding. And he's this guy, like, probably in his 60s or 70s, down on all fours, with a guy recording like videos of him like fingerboarding using the curb on these things. And I remember just passing by, and then my friend had told me, she was like, oh, I'm gonna be like maybe 30-45 minutes late. And I was like, shit, I just got here. And I was like, I was just gonna like go walk past and maybe go to a park or something. And I walked past, and then I was like, I'm gonna go talk to the old guy recording the video. And I walk up and I just said, hi, like, I'm from California, and I used to do this when I was a little kid. I gotta say, I've never seen anybody do this with such like fervency or like desire to be here. Ended up talking to the guy for an hour and a half before my friend showed up. Really amazing guy. And it just all started from saying like, hi, how are you? I'm not from here. Can I ask what you're doing? You know?
it's to piggyback off that, like, I mean, that's honestly such a cool and unique story. Um, but I just like, literally everyone, and I'm learning this right now. Like, sometimes my I get shy or whatever. I'm like, oh, I don't need to go say hi to somebody. Like they don't want to talk to me. But dude, everyone wants you to be acknowledged and to talk
Yeah.
and to talk, and like just all it takes is if you like the worst thing that's gonna happen is be like, sorry, dude, like I don't have time to talk or something. The best thing that's gonna ever happen is you make a best friend or you make a life
Yeah.
like whatever the conversation of your life. So it's like it never ever hurts to just go up and say hello to someone because you never know what you're gonna get out of it, which I think is the best part about it.
Dude, I mean, I'm so glad to be sharing this wisdom with you because I feel like we see very eye to eye on it.
Yeah.
And so, I want to take a slight change because I want to make sure I get you enough time to be able to say this. What's next, Tate? What is next for you in your life? Like what are your, I have a section, we talked about Zarpado Momentos, and I was happy to kind of round that up about like people and surfing.
Yeah.
Um, but if we want to take a look at, Tate and what you learned about yourself from going out there into the world and applying that, like what do you want to do next?
Yeah.
Or someday. It doesn't have to be the next thing, but
Yeah. I mean, in terms of, I'll give you a couple answers, but in terms of short term, I'm really focused on this career right now, and I'm really excited about it. So I think I want to become a music agent and rep some of the biggest electronic acts in the world, and
yeah,
and be known for that. I think I want to. I not. I think I know. I've always wanted to create a music festival.
yeah,
I think that would be something super cool to be able to like find music that you've discovered and put it together for people to experience live music. I think that's always been a major goal of mine. That will be a little bit later down the road.
yeah,
Uh, and yeah, I think kind of in like it gets brought up in and out, but people, and I love people and to be able to bring people together. I think that's a goal with both of those. Um, Jumping kind of to a different segment,
yeah,
I I want to other goals of mine. I want to continue to travel.
yeah,
Um, I want to keep surfing and eating foods and
yeah,
meeting people from around the world. I definitely it's gonna take a little bit of a backseat these next couple of years, but like probably in the next 5 years, I could see myself taking a pretty decent sized trip again.
okay,
Um, that's something that's definitely on the list. And yeah, I think that's kind of short term. I could go on and on about goals. I have, like I said earlier, I'm a planner, so I just think it probably won't go this way, but there's a path that I see myself
yeah.
fall in life. So
Well, if it's
uh,
anything like the way that Max said you impacted him and which then from his words impacted me, it's like, dude, just keep sharing those, keep putting them out there. And like you said, you're with the right people at the right time, you're gonna be doing the right things. And
yeah,
all else will kind of take care of the rest.
it really does. I think like just keep doing what's right and like trying your best and things tend to work out for the
Yeah.
for the majority of the time. And whether it's the way you wanted them to go or not, I think they always work out the way they're supposed to go. And
Yeah.
that's a that's a whole nother beast of its own to learn
Yeah.
how to accept things and yeah, but like yeah, I think just following your passions and staying true to yourself is and things will work out just right.
Yeah, man. Well, shit, dude, we're gonna have to link up internationally and
I know.
go out there. My girl's a surfer, and I've wanted to. Being down here in Chile, one of the reasons I love it so much is it's like, bro, I could go climb a mountain, drive an hour and a half to the beach, and surf like a dope evening sesh. Like
Yeah.
that could
You can
be.
Chile and Argentina are just so versatile. Like, you can do I don't know, you can go wine tasting, you can go rock climbing, you can go hike the Andes, you can
Yeah,
go surf, you can snowboard, you can go clubbing till 7 a.m.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can do like there's the I don't know if you've been up to the desert in like northern Chile yet, but like that's another wild place. Like
yeah,
um it's just there's so many cool things. I think like I don't know. There's all of those countries. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like there was not a single country where I was like, damn, there's nothing to do here. Like
Yeah, you're like, this sucks.
too
No,
much.
it's
There's too much. There's literally too much
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
There's just not enough time or money or whatever the issue may be. But there's so much good things.
I'm it's funny. I'm actually meeting a buddy up in Atacama in like a few weeks. He's from Argentina, or he's German buddy who's gonna like take some time traveling. Um, that was actually the buddy I was telling you about, who I was like, yeah, we're gonna go on double date with these girls. He just told me, he's like, dude, I'm going to Chile, like up north. And I was like, dude, like I'll come meet you. Like, well, why not? I'm here. And so I'm gonna go check that out. I heard, and I don't know if you saw this, but I heard you can see the stars during the daytime.
I never heard of that, but probably.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I heard it was so dry that there's like part of what goes into the atmosphere, is water, and because
uh,
there's so little water, like you get like better visibility of the sky, and during the day you see the stars, and that's what I just heard about that, and I was like, fuck man, I gotta see stars during the day. Imagine how they
it's
look
one.
at night.
It's one of the driest places on the earth. It's like they get like
Yeah,
a half inch of rain a year or something. Like
yeah,
it's like something absurd like that. Like it doesn't rain, which is
man.
funny because one of the times I was there, where it actually rained a little bit, and people were like freaking out. Like they were like what is happening?
They're like, ¿qué onda con ese gringo? Viene lluvia.
It was like middle of summer, and they were just like,
Dude, that's amazing,
yeah. So
man. Well,
definitely
Tate,
got
no,
to.
go for it. You go for it.
You definitely got to explore as much as you can because
Yeah.
I think those countries have so much to offer.
Yeah, I mean, especially while I'm here, while I'm young and able to interview, meeting people like you and meeting people like the other episodes. This is episode 30, by the way. And
Okay, I gotta listen
and
to. I'm sorry to say, but I don't think I've listened to a full episode, but I've cracked into maybe 3 or 4.
yeah,
So
yeah, dude. Hey, well,
I
that's the
need to
beauty
get
of putting them out every week. There's enough to go around.
hell yeah.
Yeah, no, and yeah, I love what I do, and I love that I'm, here we are years after college, able to connect about this thing that we have in common, this beautiful experiences that we've, obviously didn't share together, but shared and can come together to, you know,
Yeah.
talk about and hopefully, inspire others. That's the whole reason we're doing this,
I'm grateful that you've reached out to me to do this because I've always wanted to connect with people about it, but there's unfortunately not a ton of people who have like spent a lot of time traveling and understand. I mean, everyone understands different culture. I shouldn't say that,
Yeah.
but I think that we've been able to connect in a specific way that's really cool.
Yeah.
And so, like, I've really always like underlying goal of mine has been to inspire, like, whether it's my friends or I'm sure you have had so many people reach out to you and be like, dude, what you're doing is so cool.
Yeah.
And that's just such a cool feeling to be like, I think that is in truth inspiring others, whether they go out and take a trip or not. Like they see you and maybe their fears are toned down a little bit and they're excited about exploring the world is turned up a notch. So like, I mean, that's all you can really ask for. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Amen, brother. Amen. Well, we're cooking down to about 3 minutes, 30 seconds. I finish every single interview by asking one single question. And from everything, I mean, you and me can obviously talk on and on about all this, but it went by so fast, almost an hour of talking. But what's something you want to leave everybody who heard our conversation with today?
Can you repeat that? You like
Yeah. What is something advice wise that you want to leave everybody who heard our conversation with?
I would just say trust in where you're at is where you're supposed to be. I think that's something that I've really been trying to practice in my life. And yeah, the being present and the moment you're in now is where you're supposed to be, and accept that and just just go with it. It may not always be pretty, but there's a reason for it, and I think that's something that I try to live by, and I think everyone else should live by, because it will help you. It'll benefit you, and it'll help you, I don't know, in all aspects of your life. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Trust the freaking process, because
Yeah.
at times it's like when stuff just gets too much, it's like that's really all you can do. It's like, am I gonna worry? Like you said, you're a planner, but when you plan too much, and that goes with life, it's like you end up focusing more about what's gonna come rather than what's right there.
Yeah. Someone told me a quote one time. It was like, "What's meant for you will find you," and it's like, and yeah, just accepting what's in front of you right now has found you, or and down the road the same goes, same applies. So
Yeah.
Just appreciate every second, and yeah.
Yeah, man. And keep following those passions. They're gonna direct you.
They'll get you farther than anything, I think.
Yeah. Amen. Well, Tate, I appreciate this so much, man. This was such an amazing opportunity to reconnect with you, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah. So we're gonna be live with video and audio, Spotify, YouTube this Friday. And everybody, if you heard something, I like to always end this. If you heard something from me, from Tate, and this is to our friends all around the world, our friends from college, our friends we made out here, reach out. And like Tate said, we're always open to sharing about these experiences and these things we've learned.
Amen.
Amen.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Zarpado, hermano.
Zarpado. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Right on. Take care.
Cheers.